Hello friends, welcome to another project, and this time it's a MERN Stack application. Yes, you heard it right, a MERN Stack project or application. In this tutorial, we are going to develop a job finder platform or application. We'll be using MongoDB, ExpressJs, Reactjs, and Node. Now, this project will be in 3 sections. The first section will cover the front end or the UI part, where we'll design the interface with React and Tailwind. We'll also use a headless UI. And in the second part, we will develop the back end. And in the third part, we'll integrate the front end and the back end. Now, I understand that there are couple of guys who are interested in only front end. If you're interested in front end, then this part is for you. If you're also interested in back end, then the second part will be for you. But if you're interested in all, then stay tuned and let's develop this app together. Okay, so let me give you an overview of what we're going to do. But before then, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also leave your comment below. I'll appreciate that. And also support CodeWave if you find this work helpful and interesting. You can support CodeWave. The links are in the description and I'll appreciate that. Thank you. So when the page loads, you see that you need to sign in into your account. So there is an email. I'll put some dummy email here and password. Okay, so you notice that we have 2 accounts, and also you can sign up here. It's either you sign in as a user or as a company account. Okay, so let me sign in as a company, and when you sign in, you are greeted with a home page like this. Very beautiful. Okay. And there is a search bar here where you can search for jobs, and you can also filter the jobs based on the job type and the experience. You can also sort them by new, or you sort them in alphabetical order. Okay, and when you click on one job, you move straight to the job details page, where you have the details about the job, the description, and the requirement. You also have the number of applicants, vacancies, and salary. Everything listed in here. Very beautiful. You can also switch to the company and see the details about the company who posted that job. And you are also given similar jobs. Okay. Good. Now you can also move to companies and see the various companies in here with the number of job posts. You click on it and you go to the company's details page, where you see the company's email, their location, as well as the jobs they've posted. Okay. Okay, so that's how it is. Now, if you are a company, if you have a company account, then you can upload job here and you see your recent job post in here. Now, there's validation for all the inputs. Okay, and there is a simple about us page. Okay. So you can also have your profile, where you have your profile, and it's the same company's page, but this time you see you have an edit profile button where you can edit if that is your account. You can edit it as well as upload jobs from that page. Okay, so this is what we are going to work on. So stay tuned and let us code. Okay, so we'll be using Vite or Vite. We'll be using it. Now, we will not be using the Create React app. Vite is very fast when it comes to creating the app, but it is still the same React app. Okay, so all that we need to do is just nps create React app. So open an empty window of Visual Studio Code and drag a folder in. Okay, so I created a folder named Job Finder, and I dragged it into the empty Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you do same. Now I'll go to terminal and new. So in here, all that we have to do is to say nps create -vt at latest. Oh, so it's supposed to be nps create -vt at latest, and hit enter. So we ask to give the project name, and I will say client. So this is the front end, so I say client, and we are going to use the same React. So you can use the create React to create the app. Okay, so select React using the arrow down, and also select JavaScript, and that's all. The app is created. So all we have to do is cd into the client and install the dependencies. Say npm I or install anyone. So the dependencies are installing, and you see that this is faster than the normal create React app. Okay. Now we can say npm run dev. You see the instruction is given here, pretty simple. And that's all. Our app is running on port 5173. And that's all. The app is created just like that. Okay. So let's stop it from running and install our dependency. The dependency will say npm install, or I for short. We install Cloudinary at -react. Yes, Cloudinary. Oh, okay. That's where we'll be using it to upload our images. We'll upload our images to Cloudinary, right? Okay. Then we also need Redux Toolkit. Yes, we will need it to manage our state. We also need Axios and Moment Library to show the time that the job was posted, the time from. We also need React Router DOM for navigation. We also need React Icons, React Redux. We will need React Hook Form to manage or validate our forms. Okay, and just hit on enter to install these dependencies. Okay, so we have the dependencies installed here. Okay, they are installed here. And I think that's all we need. Okay, so we have this boilerplate codes here. We will not need this one in the the index, the app.css. Actually, let's delete that file. Okay, and let's remove what's in here. And let's just put a div in here. Okay, and say hello. That's all. And this is removed. This removed. Okay, this also removed. And the index here, I'll paste my index.css file. I'll leave it in a GitHub gist so you can use the same thing. Okay, so now we'll be using Tailwind CSS. So let's go to tailwindcss.com and click on the installation and search. Click on the quick search here and search for Vite or Vite. Good. Now this is the installation command. Copy this and paste it here. Then copy the second one also and paste it and hit enter. Okay, so now we need to add this to the config file. So copy this, go to the Tailwind config file and put it inside the content. Okay, don't forget to save it. Okay, so this, it's already added in the index.css. When you check, it's here. Okay, so now let's test it by copying this and put it inside our app. Okay, now let's run our project and see if it's working. And just click on the link to open in the browser, and it's working here. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so now I will want to bring the assets. Okay, so this asset will be in a GitHub. You can download it and use the same thing. I have an index file in where I'm exporting all the images. Okay, so we'll create folders. So we'll need pages as well as components. So the pages will be for the main files or pages. Then the components will be the individual components that we will be needing, or the reusable ones, or any other component. Okay, so I'll turn this to a main div, and inside it we will render the various components. So first we'll need the navbar. Now this navbar will be visible in all pages, or the component needs to be outside the pages. Good, but inside the source directory. Okay, so in the component we'll create the navbar and use the snippet rfce. Now if yours did not work, make sure you have EX7 plus Redux and React Native snippet installed. Okay, then you can use the rfce. Yeah, we'll also need the footer.jss and rfce. Okay, now let's create the index file to export all of them here. So we import the navbar and also import the footer, and say export the navbar and footer. Good. So we can come here, just spacebar and enter to import them here. Okay. Now inside this, that's where we are going to render the various pages. So the navbar and the footer will be visible on all pages. Okay. Okay, so now let's bring in the various packages from React Router DOM so that we'll be able to do the routing or navigation. Okay, so we did the outlet, navigate, the route, and the routes, as well as use location from React Router DOM. It should be React Router DOM. Okay. So in between the navbar and the footer, okay, But don't forget to also wrap your app with the browser router from the same React router DOM. So we import the browser router from React router DOM and wrap our whole app inside the browser router. So we'll do that in the main file, so don't forget to do it in the main file. Okay. So in here, we'll perform the various routes. Okay. And inside it, we'll have the individual routes. So inside the routes, we have a route. And we'll give the element as the layout elements. And we're going to create this layout. So on top here, let us create a function, the layout, that returns a component. So now we want to check if the user exists, right? So let's create a user variable. So if the user exists, meaning if the person is logged in, we are going to have a page. And if the user is not logged in, we are going to push the user to a different page. Okay, so we'll be using the use location to also determine. Okay. Now, we'll need the use location to do something here, because sometimes the user will be trying to access a different page, and we will need to know where the user was trying to access so that we redirect the user after the login. Okay, so if the user is if the user is logged in, we'll move to the outlet. But then if the user is not logged in, we'll push the user to the authentication page. That's the user will have to sign in. Okay. So we'll provide the to property to the user.auth page and put the replace. Now we'll also need the state, right? As I told you, we'll need to know where the user is coming from. So in the state, we'll use the from as the location. So when we have access to the location, they will pass the location as where the user is coming from, right? So that after login, we can send the user to that same page and put the replace also to true. Okay. So if the user is logged in, there are a couple of pages the user can access, and those ones will be inside this route. Okay, so we'll give one route, and the path will be just slash, and when it's just slash, the element will be, we just want to navigate the user to the find jobs page. Okay, so when it is the home page, that's just the /. We just want to change it to a different one, that is find jobs page, right? Okay, and we'll create that page below here. I think I missed one parenthesis. Okay, so there should be / here, and let me break it down so I will see it very well. Okay, so the closing tagging is still there. Don't forget it that way. Okay, so let's also create that path. So now we'll redirect the user to the find jobs page, and the find job component will come. We also have the company's route, right? I'll bring another one. Now we also have this route. Now the user will have the account type. Now if it's not a company's account, then we'll navigate to the user profile. If it's also a user, then it will be the same user profile, but then it will be that person's profile and not someone. So the company can view individuals, their profiles. Okay. We'll also have other routes like the company profile page, and we'll have the route to upload job, and also the job details page with the ID. Okay. So these are the routes that when the user is authenticated, the user can access. Okay. Now below it, if the user is not authenticated, the user can access the About Us page as well as the Auth page. So feel free, those pages you want to make protected, you can make there. Now, but then if the user is not logged in, we don't want to show their footer, right? So that's why I'm going to put this condition that if the user exists, then we show the footer, else we don't show it. Okay. So now let us create these pages. Okay. So one is the About Us, RFCE. We also have the Auth page for authentication. We have the company's page, RFCE. We have the company's profile page, RFCE. We also have the Find Jobs page, RFCE. We have the job details page, and we have the upload jobs page also, RFCE. There's also the user profile page and RAFCE. Okay, so these are the files we'll be needing. So now we have to export them. So we'll put the index file, import all of them, then export it. Okay, so I'll bring my import here. We import the find job from /find jobs, should be find jobs. Then we'll export it here like that. Okay, so I'll just copy paste it here like that. Okay, so as you know, we import it, then we export all of them here. Okay, so I think we have a typo in. It should be find jobs. There should be company. Okay, this should also be find jobs, not find job. Okay, let's put yes. Okay. Okay, now we're good to go. Okay, so now let's import all of them here. You put your cursor, then hit space bar and enter to import it. If it doesn't import it manually. Okay. Okay, so now let's check our app. Okay, so we have a blank screen, nothing showing. Okay, so we need to also have the user variable here Okay, so now we have the user variable, and you see we have the navbar and the auth page. So if the user exists, then we see the footer. If the user does not, then we will not see the footer in here. Okay. Okay. So I'll close this, then we'll begin from the navbar. Okay, so as I said, we'll be using headless UI. So let's go to headless UI. We'll be using this dialog box. And I believe we install it. I will install the dependency also from headless UI. Okay, so we'll be needing the fragment from React. And also the use state. Okay, so now we also need these icons from React icons. So I'll just copy paste them, as well as we need the menu and transition from headless UI. Okay. So if you did not install it, then install it. It's at headless UI/React. Okay. We also need the link from React router DOM. Okay. So now let us get the user variable here also. And let's get a state to know whether the navigation on mobile screen is opened or not. By default, we set it to false. We also need to have a handle close function to close it, and image we're going to set it's open to the opposite of the previous state. So we'll get a previous state and we negate it by using the exclamatory mark. Okay, so in here we'll wrap it around with a fragment. Okay, then we put a div inside that fragment. Okay, so we'll give a class name. I want it to be relative with the background color of this color that I'll bring here. Okay, feel free to use the same color or different color you want, and a z index of 50. Now inside it we'll have the nav tag with a class name of container, mx02, flex, item center, justify also to between, and the pattern y, let's make it pattern of 5. Yes. Then inside the nav we're gonna have our logo. So we'll just wrap it in a div, then cover it with the link tag, and just put the to property to / that's goat home, then class name of text blue, that's 600, font bold, text Excel. Inside it we'll put job, then in a span tag we'll put the finder. Okay, feel free, I do not have a logo, so feel free to put any logo you want. And the finder, we want it to have this color. Okay, and that's our logo. This will act as our logo. So after that div we'll have the unordered list, and inside it we have the individual list, which will be a link. So put the to property, this one goes home. Okay, so the find job goes home, and I'll just duplicate it I think 4 times. This one will be for companies. This one will be for upload jobs, I think. Okay, so this will be upload jobs. We go to upload jobs page, and this will be about us. Okay. Okay, so that's simple. We just give classes here. We want it to be hidden, but on large screen, we want it to be flex and the gap of 10. The text should also be base, that's the size. If you're new to Tailwind, you can go to their website and search for these utility classes. Okay, now below this links, we'll have another div, and it should be hidden on large screen. It should be blocked, and we'll open a block of code. And so if the user token exists, meaning if the user is logged in, we will have to show the user profile together with the image. I mean, that's the image and the name. And if the user is not logged in, we will show a different thing. I mean, we will show a button for the user to log in. Okay. Now, but because we put the exclamation mark, that is, if the user does not exist, then we'll show the link that the user should log in. And we'll have a custom button with a title sign in, and it will go to the user auth page. Okay, so now let's create this button inside our component custom button and RFCA. Okay, now, okay. So in here, we will need the title, the custom, container styles, and we also need an icon to the right, and we'll need a type of button and the on-click event. Let's change div to button, and the on-click to the on-click event. The type will also be the type, and let's put the classes. We put in a backtick. They are default classes like inline, flex, items to center. Then we'll add the container style that we are receiving as a prop. Okay, so the button, let's make a default as button. If the button type does not exist, then we will render the title. So let's import it, then export it here in our index file. Okay, we add it here. So now we can come back here and import it. And let's see if it's working. So if we change this hidden, now you see that we have a sign in button there. Okay, now if the icon also exists, we want to have a div, then put the icon right there. And we just give a class of margin left of 2, and that's all. But if the icon does not exist, then there's no need. So now let's pass the container styling. The reason we did not add this styling in there because it's going to be dynamic, depending on our use case or our need. So we want the text to be blue 600, the pattern Y to be 1.5, pattern X of 5, and on focus we want the outline to be none. On hover, we want a BG color of blue-700. And and then on hover the text should be white. We want it to be rounded dash full. The text should be base and border, a border of blue also. Okay, so if I zoom it out a little, okay, it's coming up fine. Okay, so now if the user is logged in, now we're going to show the user profile. So we'll wrap it in a div, then just put the menu list. Okay, so there will be a menu list when the user click on the profile, so that the user can either update the profile or log out. So we'll create this list here. That's where we'll be needing it, so that's why we're not creating a different component for it. We'll only need it here. Okay, so now we'll get the handle logout function, then we'll return a component. Now let's put a div in here, and it will use the menu list, the menu we're getting from headless UI. Yes, okay. Now this will behave as a div, and let's give a class. Okay, so inline should be block text to the left. Yes, and inside the menu we'll have one div with class flex, and inside that one we'll have the menu.button. So the user profile should be like a button that when the user click on it, the drop down will come. With the class of inline, flex, a gap of 2, the width should be full, the rounded should be MD, and a BG color of white, and on medium screen the pattern X should be 4, pattern Y of 2, text XM, and the font should be medium, the text should be slicked 700, and on hover the BG color should, we want to change the opacity of the background to 20. Okay, so now inside this, that's where we're going to have our user profile. So we'll put a div with leading of 80 pixels, flex column, item should be start. Okay, so in here we'll put the user, we'll put the username. So if the user exists, we'll put the first name, or we'll put the company name. Okay, so the user will have a first name and the company will only have a name. So we'll accept the user object as a property as well as the click function. Okay. Now let's type this. The text should be XM. The font should be semi-bold. Okay. Now beneath it we have a span tag that will put the user job title. Okay, so job title, or we'll put the company's email. So if the account is a company's account, then we'll show the email. If it's a user, then the user will have a job title, then we'll show that one there. Okay, with just these classes of text small and the color of blue 600. Okay, so now let us create a utility function here. And in the utils, I'll bring my data. So this data will also be available in a GitHub gist. If you need it, you can use the same thing. I have a couple of jobs, companies, and the user object also here. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. So I will just import the user object and get the first item. The second item, that's the index one. Okay, so if I pass it here, then we should get the user data here. So we can console log it and see. We go to our console. So we can see we have an object here which contains the user details or data. Okay. Okay, so the user does not have a token, so I'll just create a dummy token. Yes, and I'll copy this for the second user as well. Okay, so now you can see the username and the email. Okay, here. Okay, now let's continue. So after the div, we'll have the image, the user image. And the source will be user.profile URL. And we have the image here. Let's control the size down. The auth will be user profile. And class name of a width of 10 and a height of 10. It should be rounded as full. And object to center, cover. Okay. Now after this, we'll have an icon. So I'll just copy this icon, the BI chevron down from React icons, which now at the end of the div wrapping the button, we'll have a transition. That's what we want to show the various list item, and the transition will behave as a fragment. The fragment we imported from React router, from React. Now I'll bring the various animation functions, the enter one and the enter from, the enter to, the leave and the leave from, and the leave to. These animations are coming from headless UI. You can modify it to suit your preference, but I think it's not necessary for now, so it's not anything new. You can go to their documentation and copy. That's why I pasted it here. So inside it, now we'll have the menu title. The menu items with a class absolute, z index of 50, the right 2, margin top 2, a width of 56, and the origin of top right, and the divide y, also divide y, the divide gray 100 should be rounded -MD, BG color of white, and on focus outline 9, and also a shadow of LG. Now inside these items we'll have the individual item. Okay, let's put a div in with a class of P1, that's padding 1, yes, for both left and right, and in it we have the individual menu item. Okay, so if the user exists, now they made it simple that we can have a function and get whether it is active or not. Okay, so we have this function and get the state, the active state, and we'll now wrap it in a link. Then we'll put the to property. Okay. So now we want to make it dynamic. So if the user account is equal to seeker, that is equal to the normal user, we'll go to a different page. And if it's a company, we go to the company's profile page. So the same thing either goes to the user profile or the company's profile. Okay, let's give class. Now, if it's active, we'll have a different class, or we'll add some classes. We want the BG color to be blue, dash 500, and the text of white. And if it's not active, the text should be gray, dash 900. And we want it to be group flex with full item center and rounded dash MB, padding 2, text dash XM. Okay. And on click, we want to call the onClick function. Now in here, we want to show an icon. So I'll bring this CG profile icon from React icons. And if the user account is equal to, if the user account exists, then we show user profile. If not, then we show that it's a company profile. Okay, so you can see here. Now we'll just create the same thing. We'll just duplicate it. Okay, so we have the logout function here. Okay, and we have these classes. It's the same thing, just that this time it is logout, and the icon too has changed. So that's why I copy paste it. Okay, so now if I click on it, you see we have user profile and logout. Okay. So now let's put the heading here. Good. Okay, so now let us also talk about our mobile navigation. Now, because we are mobile, mobile size, because we zoom in, that's why we're not seeing the sign in. So now we'll put this div with these few classes if it's open. And I also put these links. Now we've just created this link, so there's no need to repeat them. So I just copy paste them. We have the company's account, the upload, as well as upload job, as well as to the about us page in here. Okay, this should be user and not user info. Okay. But then we will need a button to open this menu. So on top, inside the nav tag, I'll bring this button. Okay, and this button just contains the icon. If it's open is true, we show a close icon, and if it's not, we show the hamburger menu. Okay. Now, beneath the links of the mobile menu, we'll copy and bring the button we just created together with the list menu list up so that we can show the user profile. Okay, so if we go to a full screen like this, this is what we will see. For some reason, something is not showing. Okay. Yes, this it's not showing here. It should be blocked instead. Okay, I think there was a typo. Okay, so now this is our navbar. Very simple. Now let's go to the footer. Okay, double click on it and let's begin. Okay, so I'll bring the icons we'll need. The Facebook icon, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Okay, we'll change this to footer with a class of text-white. Okay, and margin top of 20. Okay, so we have a div with a class of overflow I should say, to hidden. We want the overflow of the X should be hidden. I want to give a negative margin bottom of 0.5. Now inside this div, I'll bring my wave SVG. I have this wave SVG. It will be in a GitHub, so you can use the same thing. After that one, we'll have a div with a background of the same color as the wave. Okay. And in that div, we are going to have the various links. So we have a class with a div with class container, pattern X of 5, pattern Y of 20, and the max to auto. Okay, it's coming up fine. So inside we have another div with class with full, flex wrap, gap of 10. Now here we now going to justify to between negative margin bottom of 10 and negative pixels X of 4. And now we loop over or we map over the footer length. So the footer length is in the data file. Okay, so we're importing it and map over it. We'll get the ID, the title, as well as the links, and instantly return a div. Okay, and in that div we'll have these classes. The width should be auto, px of 4. Then we give the key as the ID. Now we have an h2 tag and put the title. So now we have the title here. We can start it by giving a font dash medium and a font color of white and a tracking to widest. Okay, we just want it to stretch, and the text should be SM and margin bottom of 3. Okay, under the header we'll have one more div to show the individual links under each title. So margin bottom of 10, a flex, then flex column, gap of 3. Then now we map over the links. Okay, so I want to get the link and the index. Okay. Okay, so now we'll look over the link. Then the to property, we'll just put slash there. Since these links are not going anywhere, we'll just put slash. Okay. So we'll get a class. The text should be white. Gray 300. It should be XM text XM and hover. It should be white. Okay. So that's pretty simple footer. Okay, so under this div, wrapping the various links, right? Okay, one div down to the footer, we'll have another div, and in this div we'll have a paragraph tag that will say subscribe to our newsletter with class of container px of 5 and mx auto text white. And margin bottom. Okay, now we have another div down with container mx auto px5 pt6 and pb, that's padding bottom, flex wrap, item center justify to between. Okay, and inside that div, we have one div with class with full MD width to 2/4, and on LG width should be 1/3. The height should be 16. Height -16, flex item center justify to center, and MD justify start. And inside it we'll have the input text. Okay, let's create this input text. So in our component we put the input text.jsx rfce. Okay, so we'll need a couple of props. Now, because we'll be using the React hook form, we need to get the forward ref here. So we'll wrap it with React.forward_ref and make sure the arrows are put properly. Then we'll get the ref here. I think we're missing one of the parentheses. One should be here. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. So make sure you match them properly. Okay, so we have the type, the placeholder, the styles, the label, and we also have the register function. We have the name and the error. So this are the props we'll be needing. Okay, so let's give class name flex column margin tab 2. Then we'll have the paragraph tag to show the label, It should be text gray 600, the text XM, and margin bottom of 1. Okay, down it we'll have the input tag. The type should be type. Then we give the name. The name will be the name. Placeholder. The ref to ref. And the class name will be a template string. We'll have a default ones, then the ones will pass. Okay, so it should be rounded. Border that's gray. That's 400. Focus outline to none. Focus border blue 500. And focus ring dash 1. Focus ring dash blue dash 500. The text should be base px4 and py2. Okay, then we'll add the styles we'll get. Also want to spread the register function. Okay, and that one will be coming from the React hook form. We also want to set the area invalid, that if the error exists, it should be true, else it should be false. Pretty cool. Now below the input tag, we want to check if we have an error that will show this span tag. So span tag error with a class of test-xs, and it should be red-500 and margin top of 0.5. Okay, so that will be our test input, and make sure you import and export it here. Okay, then let's import it. Good. We'll need styles. We want it to be full width and flex, grow, MD width should be 40, and to Excel screen the width should be 64. BG gray 100, and on XM the right margin right of 4, yes, and MD of 2. We'll put a type as email. Okay, then under it we'll bring our custom button with the title subscribe. Okay, let's put the container style. It should be block BG color of this color. The text should be white. PX5 PY2.5. Text MD rounded and hover BG of blue 800. Focus outline to none. And flex column item center margin top of 2. Okay, so let's pass a placeholder here too. The placeholder will be email address. Okay, so now below this div, after the one wrapping the input, I'll bring these icons. Okay, now if you watch the last tutorial, these icons are coming from there. This photo is the same as that one. That's why I'm just copy pasting, so you can watch that video to understand more. We'll just bring the icons here, then bring this small one at the bottom here, which just show the copyright and yes, with a link to my YouTube page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, so now let's deal with our Redux. So now in the Redux, we'll have the store. We'll import configure store from Redux Toolkit. So from Redux Toolkit, I'll also import a couple of things from React Redux. We'll need the use dispatch and we'll rename it as use app dispatch, as well as the use selector as use app selector. Now let's create the store. So say store is equal to configure store. Then we'll have the reducer. So let's put this for now. We'll come back to it. Now let us also destructure the dispatch from the store and get the use selector equal to the use app selector, as well as use dispatch equal to use app dispatch. Okay, so now we'll export the store, the dispatch, the use dispatch, use selector, and we'll export all of them here. Now inside our Redux, we'll also need to have the root reducer. We'll need to have the reducer. So we'll import combine reducer from Redux Toolkit. Then we'll import okay, let's create the root reducer. Will be equal to combine reducer. Then inside this object we'll have the user. Okay, then we'll export it here. We'll have the user reducer, so we'll export all of them here. Okay, so now we import the root reducer inside our store here. Now let's create the user slice so that we can add it to our reducer. So in here we'll import the create slides from Redux Toolkit. Then we'll get the initial state. So we need to create initial state. The initial state, the user variable will be nah or nothing. Okay, so now the user slice, we go to create slice. And in it, we'll have the name as user info. in order not to confuse you with the user, that's why I'm putting user info. Then we'll pass the initial state. Then we'll have our reducers. And in here, we'll have the login. We'll get the state and the action. So we need to get the state. The state is the current state, and the action will hold the payload. So in a state.user, the state has the user. So we'll say state.user equal to the action.payload.user. Okay. Then we'll just get it like that. Okay. Initial state, then we just pass the user. We also need one for logout. So we'll get the state. We'll not need the action because we just want to set the user object to null. And also clear our local storage. Remove all items from the local storage. Okay, when the user logs out. Okay, and that's all we'll be needing for now. So now let us export the user slice.reducers. Reducer, it should be .reducer. Now let us also have the functions to log in and to log out right in this folder. You can create them in a different folder, but I'll put them here since we only have two. So the login function will receive the user, and in the returning we'll get the dispatch as well as the get state, and we'll dispatch the user slice action login. User slice actions.login, and we just pass the user to it. So in this function, when we call this, we'll pass the user as a parameter. Then we'll call this reducer action here. Okay, so we need another one for logout. So function logout. That one will not need any prop. We'll just return getting the dispatch as well as the state, and just dispatch the logout action. User slice.actions.logout. Okay, and that's all. Return. Okay. So now in our root here, we need to get the user slides. So if we have other slides, we'll put them in here. Okay, so for now we only have the user. Okay, so now let us go to the main file and wrap our whole app around with the our state. So we'll have the provider from React Redux, and the provider accept a store, and the store will be the store we just created. Okay, so we get the store here. Good. So now let's save it and see. There's nothing showing. It should be up. Okay, remove the .js. I believe still nothing is showing. Okay, let's go to our console and see. So there is a typo in here. We'll go here. It's here. It should be combine reduce. Combine reduces. Oh, okay. Combine reduces, that's right. And I think there's another typo somewhere. In here, this should be a function. Okay, good. So now it's working. We have a little error in the footer. Okay, that's because we failed to give key. So now if you have this Redux Dev 2 and React Dev 2 installed, you'll be able to see your state variable. Okay, so now let us get past our dummy user here. First, we want to check if the user is logged in. I mean, the user object is in the local storage. If then we fetch it from there, right? We want to put or we get it. If it does not exist, then we get our user object. Let's get one, the first one. So we'll put 0 index. Okay. So now let's come here. Inside the app, we need to get the user. So instead of we setting it to true, we'll destructure the user from the state. So we'll use the use selector hook from React Redux. We'll get a state, and in the state, we'll get the user object. Okay, so if we console log it, you see we have the user object here. Right, you can see it here. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so let me remove this. Now copy this here and also bring it here. Okay, let's toggle this and see. Okay, so here, yeah, this is where we're getting the error from, I want to believe, in the footer here. Oh yeah, this one we did not give the, okay, we did not give a key. Okay, I want to believe the error should be gone. Okay, so the error from the footer is gone. Whenever you map over items, do not forget to give key. Okay, for optimization's sake. Okay, so now let's come to the job details page. Now let's go to the Auth page. Okay, so now here we also need the user. Using the use selector hook, we get the state, and in the state we get the user. We also need a couple of state variables. So set open, and set open, and by default it should be false. Should be false. We also need to get the location. I told you where we're coming from. We need to get it so that we can redirect the user back to where the user came from. So we'll get the from value from the state. So the location has a state object, and in it we'll get the from, then the path name. If that does not exist, we'll just go back to the home page. Okay, so if the user.token exists, meaning the user is already logged in, so we just move the user to the from. Yes, where it's coming from, meaning the user is already logged in. Okay, so for instance, if I'm logged in here and I try to go to the user page, I'll still come back here. Okay. So now let's give class name to this div. It should be full width, and inside it we're gonna have an image for the XRC of Office. This is also coming from our asset files, which has already been exported. So if you get it in here, so now we'll give the alt as Office with a class of object dash contain. Okay. Okay, so now let's come here. So now if we put this to now, I mean an empty object, you can see, okay, so we have it here like this. Okay, meaning the user does not exist. So will come here. Okay, so in here we're going to have the sign up form. So we just call it sign up and pass the open, the state to it as a prop, and the set open to it also. Okay, so now let's create that component, sign up, and import and export it here. Sign up and sign up. Okay, we import it here. Okay, so we have it down here. Now here it's where we're going to use also headless UI. Okay, so I'll bring the import of dialog and transition. We also bring the use form hook from React hook form. Okay, we also need the location from React route down. Okay. Okay, so we'll get the dispatch from also use dispatch. We'll get a dispatch, use dispatch from React Redux, and the location should also be equal to location, use location. Now let's get a variable of whether the user is registered or perhaps logging in. Okay, so by default it should be equal to false. We want to use the same form for login as well as register. We also need to get the account type because we need to know whether it's a user or a company's account. And by default, we'll set it to seeker. I mean, someone seeking job. Okay. We also need an error state. And by default, it should be equal to now empty or nothing. Now let's also create a location. We need to get the from or location dot state dot from path name, and if it does not exist, we go back home as usual. Okay, so now let us also get a function to close the modal. So we just set close, set open, we set open to false in here, so we can just make it simple like this. Now we also need the onSubmit function. Yeah, when we try to submit it, we need this. Okay. Okay, let's also get this from the use form. There are a couple of things we need. Now I want to set the mode to on-change. Okay, now we'll need the register, the handle submit, the get values, and we also need the watch as well as the form state. And in the form state, we have the errors. Okay, so now let's come to our form. So wrap it in a transition, and the transition has the appear, and the show will be our open state, or by default it should be false. Okay, now inside the transition we'll have the dialog, and the dialog will behave as a div with a class name of relative z index of 10, and the onClose should be the close model. Okay, now inside the dialog we have another transition with children, and the children will behave like a fragment from React. Okay, so I'll also paste this few properties, same like we did. So there's an enter as well as enter from, enter to, those properties. So you can just copy and paste it. Now we'll need a div, a self-closing div, which should be fixed with insect of 0 and a BG color of black, and the opacity of the background color should be 25. Okay, then we'll have down the transition child, we'll have another div which should be fixed. Insert also of 0, overflow y should be auto. You should be able to scroll it. We have one div inside flex, and the mean height should be full. Item center, and I justify also to center. Pattern of 4 and text center. We'll have transition.child inside that div with this properties will behave as a fragment with this animation properties as well. Okay, inside it we'll have the dialog panel with class width dash full, mask MD as the maximum size, and transform, overflow hidden, and rounded dash to Excel, a BG color of white, padding 0, and text to left, align to middle, and a shadow of Excel. Transition dash all. All of these are coming from the headless UI component. Documentation, so you can check it out. Okay, so we have this here. This should be inside the panel, okay. And the title should either be create account or account signing. Let's check there. I think there's a problem somewhere. This thing is supposed to show. Okay, so if okay, so if let's change this to true and see. Oh, okay, it's here. Okay. Okay, so we're passing the open here, so we need to accept it here. My bad. So accept the open and set open. Then we can change this to open. Okay, it should work. Okay, because we've set it to true here. Okay, we change it to false to go, but let's make it true so that we can see. So whenever you pass prop, don't forget to accept the props. Okay, so title. After title, we'll need to okay, so we'll leave another div after the title with class with full px4 with full flex item center justify center py4. Okay, now inside it we'll have a button, and the button will be username with some few classes. Classes should be flex, px4, py2, rounded, test of xm, outline to none. Now we also need to check if it's if the account type is equal to seeker or the normal user, then we need to highlight that one. So we give a different background color. If not, we also have a different background color. Okay, so we have a BG color, obvious color. And the text should be white. Text of blue 900. And it should be semi-bold. If it's not the one that is selected, the background should be white with border of blue 400. Then on click event, we'll just set the account type to seeker. Okay, so we just have to duplicate this one more time for company and change this to company account and change here. What is it? Okay, now we just negate here. Good. And also change here to company. Okay, so now it's working fine. That's all. Pretty simple. Okay. Okay, let's give some styling to our title. It will behave like h3 tag with classes. Text of Excel, font semi-bold, leading 6, text gray 900. And there should be a space around it here. Okay, I'll make sure you change this to max width of MD. And also the padding should be 6. Good. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so down the div we'll have our form with this class with full, flex and flex column, gap of 5. And on submit, we'll call the handle submit function from React hook form, then pass our submit function we created. Okay, so this handle is coming from here, and the on submit inside it is the one we created. Okay, so now we're gonna have our input field, our input test input, yes, with the various properties. So we have the name as email, we have the label as email address, we have the placeholder as email@example.com. You can put anything you want there. We also will need the type as email. Now we need the register. So the register will use the register from the React hook form to register our input. So the name of the input, that will put required, that this field is required with the error message as email address is required. And let's also check if the error exists, we send the error also. So error should be equal to error dot, then the name of that component, that is the email. If it exists, we send the error, else we send nothing. We send good this. So, okay, so all of these properties we have accepted here. Okay, so now you can see the error is there. When you click on submit, the proper error is handled here. This thing is supposed to take the full width, so let's see what is the issue. Okay, so this should be flex-1, good, flex-1, so that it will share this the width equally. Okay, so now let's also check if it's registered. Then we'll need to show the first name and the last name. So if it's registered is true, then we show this part. We have a full width. It should be flex, gap of 1, and on MD the gap should be 2. So we'll have one div with class of a dynamic template string. If the account type is equal to the normal user, that's seeker, we will need to have a different width. If not, we also have a different thing. If it's equal to seeker, then we divide it into 2 so that we have the first name and the right name on the left and right. So I'll just copy this and bring it here. Okay, we'll change this highlighter and change it to first name. First name. Okay, then we change the label and the error message as first name. Okay, we'll register it as first name. Okay, this should be test, and the placeholder should be example John. Okay, Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now we want to make it reusable, so we'll check if the account type is equal to the normal user. We'll show the first name, else we'll use the same thing as the company account. Okay, so if I change this to true, you see now we have and if I click on company account, we have it as a full text with company detail. Okay, so we'll change all these things to company. We'll just check if it's user. If it's not, we'll change it to company name. Okay, so we'll change the register and the error as well to handle these two use cases. Okay, so if it's user, we register it as first name, else we register it as name for the company. So if you click on this, okay, we're doing well. Okay, so now we need to have one input for the last name or surname. So we'll come down here, it's the account is only equal to seeker. That's where we show this, and we're registering as last name, the same thing, just with the name of last name. We've just changed those parameters. Okay, so now we have it here. I'll just copy and bring this one also. So we have the password field, and we also have confirm password. So confirm password will only show if we are registering. Okay, so in the same input, we are just changing the various the name, the type, and the registry name. Okay, we also want to have a state for error. If there is an error message, we'll show it to the user. Now we have a div down here with our button, so we want to give a margin top of 2, and in it we'll call our custom button. We'll call our custom button and pass the title as submit with the custom style. The type should be submit instead. Okay, so with the styling inline flex, to justify, to center, we want it to be rounded -MD. The border, that one will not be needed here. So we're going to give a background of blue, 600, px of 8, py of 2. The text should be XM, the font of medium. The text should be white, outline to none. And on hover, we just want to change the background color slightly to 800. Okay, so now let's pass the title, and it will be a template string. If its register is true, we'll say create account, else login. Okay, so now validation is working perfectly. Okay, okay, yeah, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so beneath the form we'll have one more div with margin top of 4, and we have a paragraph tag that if its register is true, they will show a message that already has an account. If it's not, we say you do not have an account, so you need to sign up. Okay, we'll give a class of test XM, and the test should be gray-700. So we have a span tag here, and the span tag, if it's register, then we'll say login, else we'll say create account. Okay, with class name, that test should be SM, and it should be blue 600, and the margin left of 2, and when you hover over it, the test should be blue 700, and if when we hover over it, the font should be bold, semi-bold, and the cursor should be pointer. Okay, and on click, we want to set the S register to either true or false. So we get a previous state and we change it to opposite. Okay, so now you can see it's working fine. Okay, so now we move to a different thing. Okay, this isn't working. Okay. Okay, so this is how it looks. When you click on job file, now you are prompted to sign in or create an account. Okay, so now let's go to the find job page. Okay, let's change our object, our initial state. So we can go there, find job. Okay, so we'll need a couple of state variables. We'll get a uses, the sort and a set sort, called use state. And by default, we'll set to newest items. Or need another one for page. And by default, we go to 1. We also need number of pages. Number of pages, and by default it should be 0 or 1 instead. We also need record count. We need to know the total number of items we have. We also need the data itself, and by default it will be an empty. We also need search query. Okay, and it will be now. Also, we need a job location. We'll need to filter the job by types. We also need to filter the experience. Okay, and that will also be an empty array for now. So we get a bunch of states here. We also need its fetching, and then we false for now. So we get a bunch of state in here. Okay. So now let's also get the location. We go to the use location hook, and we get the navigation to use navigation hook. Let's import it manually. It's not coming. So we need use location and use navigation from React router door. Okay. Fine. Now in here, we will need to have a header. That's the banner, and let's create it here. So header.jsx array of CE, and let's import and export it here. So import header and export the header here. Okay, so we can bring it here. Now we will need to send few props like the title, find your dream job with ease, good. We also need to pass the type, and we'll put just home, and we'll also need the handle click, and we'll put an empty function for now. We also need to send a search query as well as the search query. We'll pass the location. Yeah, these things are coming from here. The objects the states we created, we're passing them as props. Okay, we also pass the location as set location, job location, and set location as set job location. Okay, so that's all we need for now. So let's go in there. So click on it, and it's working here. Okay, so now first and first, let's take the props, the title, the type, the handle click, the search query, the set search query, location, and set location. Okay, so in here we're gonna give some class a bg of this color, and inside it we have another div with class okay, so we're gonna make it a temporary string like this. It's a container, mxauto, px5. Then we pass the type. If the type exists, we want the height to be 500 pixels. X, it will be 350 pixels. Okay, then we'll add items to center. It should be relative. Inside it is we're gonna have one div, a width of full, a z index of 10. Okay, so class name to be MB8. Then we give a paragraph tag with the title, the class of this slate -800, a font of bold, text -for Excel. Let's reduce it to 700. Okay. Now beneath that div, we have another div with class with full, flex, items, center, and justify dash. Justify dash around. Okay. A BG of white. Okay, then we give a padding Y of 2.5 and a medium padding Y that's 6, shadow of 2 XL. Okay, let's make this search input. Yeah. Okay, since that's the input box, so it's a search input, we'll find a place holder as job title or keyword. You also need to have an icon, and this icon I'll bring here. Okay, so the AI outline search, and let's import it from React icons. AI. Okay. Then we'll have a value of search query and a set value of set search query. Okay, so we have nothing showing for now. Let's come on top here and create the search input. We'll only need it here, so we're creating it here. So we'll return a div tag. Okay, so here we'll get the placeholder, the icon, the value, and the set value, as well as styles should we need styles. Okay, so in here we'll have some couple of classes here. We'll say it should be flex with full, MD with 1/3, and LG item center. Then we add the styles that we will receive. Okay, so we'll put the icon here, then we'll put the input. Okay, so the input will have value of value, on change of set value. So we'll get the event and set value. Okay, let's have an handle change. Here we can create it on top here. So handle change will receive the event and set value to the event.target value. Okay. We also pass the type as test with a couple of classes with dash full and MD with dash 1, 2, MD width of 64, P2, outline none, background transparent, test of base. I think it's coming up fine. We have the icon there. We put a placeholder of placeholder. Okay, so we have it here. Now beneath it, we're going to have another icon I'll bring here. So the AI outline close circle. We want an icon that we can use to clear the input. So we'll put a function here as clear input, and we just want to set the value to null. Okay, so if we make it, you see we have a small icon here. Okay. Okay, so we can duplicate this and change this to add country or city. So you can also search by country or by city. We'll change the icon to the CI location icon, and we'll need to import it here. Good. And this time we'll change the props also, so it will be location and set location. This time we'll pass styles that it should be hidden on small devices, but from medium it should be there. The styles, it should be flex. Good. So on small devices we will not see the location text box. So now we'll need also a button, and you know we have our custom button already, so we'll just call it custom button and pass the various props. It's not important, so let's import it manually. Import custom btn or button from /custom button. So we'll pass the on click as handle click, the title, the title of search, and container star of test white, py2, md py3, px3, and md px of 10. On focus outline to none, and a BG of blue 600. Rounded dash full, MD, rounded dash MD. The text base and MD text. MD text should be base, and the text should be XM. Okay, so we have it this way. And that's our search bar. Okay, now if the type exists, that's where we want to show this. So the type is not going to be used for anything but for this purpose. Okay, so if the type exists, we want to have this div with class of with full LG. It should be 1/2, and it should be flex wrap gap of 3, and MD the gap should be 6, py of 10, and MD py of 14. Okay, we just want to map over the popular search. So map over it, we get the individual search with the index, and instantly return a span tag with the search. Okay, so we have the various popular search. It's coming from our data here. Okay, so we give the key as the index with class name, of this background color. We give a text of this color also, and py of 1, rounded full, text XM, and on medium the text should be MD. Okay. Now beneath it we want to have another div, and that div will have a width of 1/3, and the height should be full. It should be absolute. A top of 24. On MD the top should be -6. And on LG the top should be -14. Right of 16, and 2XL right of 18 rem. Okay. Find out these values working, so you can just manipulate it to your preference. So we have an image, and the image will be the hero image. Okay, we just want to put it right beneath the search bar with classes of object-contain. Okay, so you can see it's coming up fine. Okay, so now let us go to the jobs itself. So we have one div beneath the header, will be container, mx02, flex, gap of 5. To Excel, the gap should be 10, and MD px5, py0, MD py6, the BG of this color. We'll put a div inside it, and this div normally will be hidden, but from medium screen it will be flex column, a width of 1/6, a height of fit, a BG color of white, and a shadow of XM. Okay, so in here we're gonna have those filter options, so we can filter the search. Okay, so class name to this paragraph tag. Okay, so text should be LG, font semi-bold. If we make it big, you can see it here. Okay, if we zoom out, you see it. Okay. Okay. So we have a div with class py2, and in it we have another div to flex justify between and margin bottom 3. Okay, so we have this icon in a paragraph tag with the name job type, and let's import this icon from React icon/bi. Okay, so we have a paragraph tag with the icon and the job type. Okay, also beneath it we'll have a button with another icon of key, MD, outline keyboard, arrow down. Okay, so there's it. Okay, so beneath that thing we're gonna have one more div with class flex and flex column, gap of 2. Then we just loop over the job types. Okay, we loop skip over it. We'll get each job type as JType, but then we get the index and instantly return a div. Okay, and that div will contain, we'll have the key as the index. We have a class of flex gab of 2, test xm and md JType. The class name, width of 4, height of 4, and on click we want to get the check type. Okay, class name, width 4 and height 4, and on change we want to get the value and set the filter job types that will pass the value to it. So we'll get the event and target on value. So let's create that function here, because filter job types or filter jobs. Yeah, we'll get an event, and now we need to check if that thing has already been checked or not. Okay, so if job types, filter job types include the value that's coming, then means we need to uncheck it or we need to remove it. So we'll set filter job types to filter job types dot filter. Then we'll get each item and only return the item which is not equal to the one that we are trying to remove. Okay, so we want to slice that one out. We want to remove it. If it does not include or does not exist, then we need to add it. So we spread the current state, then we add the value to it. Okay, so this function should be here. Okay, we can, okay, and in here we have a span tag to show the JType. Okay, so if we make it big, you can see we have full-time, part-time, contract, and intern. Okay, so we can just console log it and see if it's working like expected. We go to our console. We have a couple of errors here. So if I check it, you can see that yes, it has been selected in here. So we'll do another one. So we just need to copy paste it, right? Yes, and this one will be for the experience. So we just copy paste it with different icons. We just give it a margin top to that one, and with different icons. So we need to import the icons here as well. Okay, so be a star. Okay, and we need to create the filter experience function also, but then let's import the experiences first. We're getting them here. Okay, we need to create this function, same as the one we did, but we just need to create this function here. Okay, so we want to create a function here and set it. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so now if we go down to 2 divs down, then we have another div, and in that div, that's where we're going to have our job postcards. Okay, so it's going to be flex column, a gap of 8, and on medium screen will be flex row. The items will be in center on medium screen. Okay, we have another div inside. We say it should be flex items to center, justify to between, and MB4. Okay, so I'll bring this paragraph tag with text XM and text space. We just want to show the number of records available. So say showing the number of jobs available. Then we have one div to show the sort by. Okay, so we have these classes of flex column, and on MD issue flex row gap of 0, and on MD gap 2, and item should be in center on MD screen. Okay, then we put in that sort by. Then we'll get a list box. So we need to create this list box where we pass in the sort and the set sort state to it. Okay, so let's go into a component and create the list box. So create it here, and here we'll also use headless UI components. So I'll bring this from headless and React. Okay, so in here we'll give this class of width -8 rem. We give width of 8 rem, and on the MD it should be 10 rem. And we need to get the list box from headless UI with value of sort and on-change value of set sort, on-change of set sort. Okay. Inside it, we have a div with relative, class, margin top of 1, and inside of it, we'll have another listbox.bottom, and this will have class name of relative as well, and the width full, cursor.pointer, and cursor.default -default. Okay. Now let me paste these classes. The classes are bunch, so we just having a background color, a pattern Y and pattern left, and on focus visibility. All these things are coming from the documentation with just few modification to colors. Okay, that's why I just paste it here. Now inside it, we have a span tag that shows that the sort value, right, and another span tag that will bring the chevron expand icon, and beneath it we're gonna have a transition. Okay, so you've seen this over and over. The leave from, then leave to. Now inside the transition, we'll have the list box options with these classes of absolute, and inside it, that's where we're actually going to loop over our options. So we loop over it and we get the option and the index and instantly return something, and we will return a listbox.option. A listbox.option will pass the key as well as the class, and in here also we'll get the active state, and if it's active we'll pass a different background color, else we have the normal background color. Okay, so in here we will get the selected state. If it's selected, as usual, we pass a different color, and if it's not, we also pass a different color. And if it's selected also, we will need to pass the check icon so that the user will know that this is what I have selected. Okay, let's export it from here. Okay, I think we missed this. Okay. Okay, so we missed the with full here. Okay. So now we have it like this. Good. So beneath it, now we are going to have our job 3 divs down. Okay. So we have div with class, with full, flex wrap, and gap of 4. Inside it, we're now going to loop or map over our jobs. So jobs.map, we get the individual job with the index, and we'll return the job card and pass the job as a prop. So job is equal to job, and pass the key as the index. So now let's create a job card in a component, AFCE. Okay, let's export it, import and export. Okay, job card. Let's import it here. Okay, and now we have the cards here. So now let's work on it. Now, after the job list, we also need to show the button to fetch more. So see that if the number of pages, there are more pages available, then we need to show the button we have created. Yeah. Okay, so in the job card, we'll bring this icon, the location icon. We'll use moment and a link. And first, let's accept the job as a prop. Let's accept it. And in here, we'll wrap all around the link tag with the to property to the job details page with the job ID. Okay. Okay, so inside it we have a div with class with dash full. But on medium screen we need to have a different okay, yes, so on medium screen we have a 16 rem, and on 2x we have it as 18 rem, render-md, and px3 and py5. Inside it we have another div with flex, gap 3, and inside that div, that's where we're going to have the image, and this will be the job.image.company profile. So we want to show the company image. Okay, and with the Auth as the company name. Let's start it with classes, width of 14 and height of 14. Okay, something is wrong somewhere. Okay. So beneath the image, we have a div with, inside it, we will show the job title, as job title should be the job.job title. And that thing is not coming. What is the issue? Oh, this thing should be job. Okay, yeah, now we have it here. Good. And beneath the job title, we'll have the job location with the location icon with this class of flex gap 2 and item center. Then we'll have the job.location. Okay, so we go 2 divs down, and in here we'll have another div with job.description, job details, and in the details we have an array. Then the first index we get the description, but we want to slice it. We don't want to show everything. We want to slice it from 0 to 150. Okay. Okay, like this. Okay. Okay, we give a class of py3, and this one also text of XM at all. And beneath the description, we'll have the job type and the time was posted. So we have a div, then in it we have a paragraph type with the job type, and we have a span tag where we use moment to show the time for which it was posted. So this is how it will look like. When I zoom out, something is wrong somewhere. Okay, here the div wrapping the right component. Let's give this classes. Okay, good, it's now working fine, I want to believe. Yeah, it's same to the one we have here. Okay, and if you click on it, it takes you to the details page. Okay, I think we can work on that one now. Let's go to the job details page. Okay, job details page. Okay, so I'll bring this here. We'll need use param to get the ID, use state, use effect, and also get the moment library. And we'll need this, states, the use param. We're just using this way to get the ID. When we fetch it from our database, we'll change it. We'll also get the job, and we'll get the selected. Okay, so this will be the use effect to fetch job. So we just get a jobs data from our object. Then we just get the one we just clicked on. Okay, so now the div will have a container with mx auto, and inside it we have another div with full, flex, and flex column, and md should flex row, and a gap of 10. Okay, inside it we have 2 divs. one to the left and the other to right. So I copy and paste and change this to right. Okay, so there will be two columns, left and right column. Okay, with full normally and height to fit. MD width to 2/3, and on 2XL it should be 2/4. Background white, PY10, and MDP X10, shadow MD. Okay. In here, we're gonna have the details of our job. So we have one div or with class with full, flex, item center, justify, between. Inside it, we have div, class name with 3/4, flex, gap 2, and we have image. And the image will be the company's logo or image. So see job.company.profile URL, and the auth will be the company name. And let's control the size. It should be 20, height 20. On MD, it should be 24 and height 24. Rounded, we want to give a little border radius. Okay. The padding X, okay, padding X of 5 to the wrapping div. Okay. Okay, so beneath the image, let's have one div to have the job title and the locations and the company that posted it. So flex column, and inside it we'll have a paragraph tag for the job title, job title, okay. Let's give class text Excel, font semi-bold, text gray 600, and beneath it we'll have the location, your location with test base, and the company that posted it. Okay, we also want to have the time that was posted using the same moment library. Okay. Now to the last wave of the left class here. Okay, so this div icon needs to go up one div up. Okay. I think this is fine. Okay. Okay, and to the last div we will have one div with class name, with full, flex, wrap, an MD, flex dash row with a gap of 2. Text item center, justify to space between, and margin wide of 10. We have another div in with this background color, a width of 40, height of 16, rounded dash LG, flex column, item center, and justify to center. Okay, and inside it we'll have span tag with salary, and just give some class name. Test should be Excel. That's all. And beneath it we have a paragraph tag of job.salary. Let's put a $sign. Okay, so the text should be LG, font that's semi-bold, text should be gray dash 700. Okay, so we'll just duplicate this dark small card and just change the background color and the various. So we'll change color, we'll change this to job type, and this remove the $sign and job type. Okay, so we'll have to duplicate it 2 more times and just change the value for the number of vacancies as well as the experience, number of applicants. Okay, so we want to show the number of applicants and also the number of vacancies. So this is what we have here. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so beneath it we'll have another div, and that div should have a width of full, flex, a gap of 4, and py 5. In it we'll call our custom button. We've created it over and over again, and now we are using the onClick event to set the selected to either 0 or not, and we are just changing the background color based on the selected. So if the selected is 0, we have a different background color, so we'll just duplicate it twice. One will be for description, the other will be for company. Okay, so beneath that div we'll have another div with margin Y of 6, and we'll check if selected is equal to 0, means we want to see the job description. If it's not 0, then we want to see the company details. Okay, so we'll wrap it in a fragment and put job description, then in a span tag we'll display the job description. Okay, that's very simple. We also want to show the requirement, but we want to make sure the requirement exists. Then we'll show requirements, same like the description. Okay. However, if the selected is 1, means we want to show that of the company. So the same thing, we'll just show you the company name, the location, and their email, and about. Okay, so beneath it we want to have the same button, but this time, yes, apply, where you can apply for the job now. Okay, now in the left side we want to show some suggested or similar post or job. So width to full, MD width 1/4 and 2x width 2/4, parent 5, margin 20, margin top 20, and MD margin top 0. Inside it we have a paragraph tag with similar job post, and inside of it we just want to map over the jobs and get an index and instantly return the job card. Okay, pass the job and the key as the index. Yes, let's close it here, and now we have them down here. So if we go here, you can see we have the jobs here. Okay, this is supposed to be 2 columns. So let's wrap it in a div and give class of flex and flex wrap and a gap of 6. The width should be full and the gap should be 3. Yes. 4. I think 4 is okay. Good. But the list is too long, so we want to slice it. Let's slice it from 0 to the 6 items. Okay, you can slice it to any number you want. Okay, now it's pretty cool. So if I click on it, it shows here. Yeah, it changes. Excellent. Okay. So now, what next? Okay. So now let's come to the company details, or the company's page. So we'll need these imports. The use state, use effect, the use location, and use navigation. I will need a bunch of states like the one we did for the find job page. Okay, so we need all of this here as well. Okay. So inside this, we'll have a class of width full, and we want to call the header component again. This time pass this options to it. Okay, it's imported here. Let's import the company data here. Okay. Okay, so let's have this here. Undo click, undo search submit, and the input is not showing. There should be location. There should be set location. Still not showing. Okay, let's continue and see. So I'll bring another div down with these few classes. And put in something and see. Let's bring in another div with this list box, the one we created, and that one is also not working. What will be our problem? We have no error too. Wow. Okay, we'll fix it. If I comment it, okay, you can see this. Meaning the problem is with our header. So let's go in here. If I put this one here, so it's showing here. And if I remove the type, it goes away. Okay. So if I put the type, you can see that, okay, so the problem is in there. Okay, so fast forward. Okay, so I realized instead of PX, I put PC. So you see, simple mistakes can let you suffer. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so now this should be equal to handle search, submit. Okay, now let's continue. So inside this, we go and loop over our companies. Okay, so we have our company here in the data. So we just want to loop over or map over it and get our company card. Also, if it's fetching, we want to show the loading. Then we also want to show the number of records available. Okay, so this is our loading. You can get it from GitHub. Just copy and paste it. We've used it in a couple of our projects. So we have the classes also for it in the index, the CSS. Okay, now let's create a company card. Import and export it here. Company card. Import it here. Okay, so now we have the card here, the number of records, everything working as it's supposed. Okay, so in here we also want to show the more button. If the number of pages are more, we need to have show more function. So in here, we'll need a link from React Router DOM, and let's accept the company data in the class to the main div width of full and height of 16. Flex and gap of 4 item center and justify to between. The BG of white. Okay. Then a shadow of MD. Rounded. Okay. Inside it, we'll have a div to wrap the company logo and the text. So in here, class name width 3/4, MD 2/2, flex gap 4, item center, a link to wrap the image so that when you click on the image, it takes you to the company profile. Should be the ID of the company. Okay, ID. We'll put an image in there. So CMP, company profile URL. The company name will be the Auth. There will be a class name to control the size. Should be 8, and MD it should be 12 with height also the same 8, and on MD it should be 12. Link. There's a problem with us. 8. Okay, this should be 12, not 13. 12. Okay, good. Now beneath the link, we're going to have the company name and their email. The name will also be wrapped in a link so that when we click on the name, we do the same as the image. Now beneath the div wrapping the image and the name, we'll have another div to show the location of the company, but on a small screen, that thing will be hidden. Okay. Then to the right, we'll also show the number of job posts available. So we have a span tag and a paragraph tag to show the number of job posts as well as the title as job post. Okay, so that's our company card. Pretty simple. Okay, so now let's go to the company page. When you click on it, we're going to see the details. So in here, we're going to need a couple of things. Imports from React, headless UI, use form, and React Redux, as well as icons, and use param and link from React Router DOM. We also need these state variables, as well as fetch the user from our state. Now here we'll be moving fast because we have created a lot of the things. Okay, so we'll have a use state, use effect to fetch the details of our company. And in here, we're going to have this. We want to have the company's data All of this will change when we integrate the front end with the back end. Okay, we just want to fetch this company data and just get the ID using the parameter and get the info. Now in here, let's give it away. So class name, container, MX Auto, and P5. Inside it we have another div. In that div we have another div with class name, with full, flex column, MD flex row, and a gap of 3. Justify space between. Okay, in that we'll need to have the name, so info.name. So we get LinkedIn Corporation. These are dummy data, so we say welcome, then the company name. Let's give class text gray 600, text Excel, font semi-bold. Okay, so beneath the H1, we will check if the user account type is equal to undefined. So it will be undefined if it's company, because the company, it's only the user that have the account type. Okay, if it's undefined and the info.id is equal to the user's ID, then it means that account belongs to that company. So they will be able to see the edit button to edit the account or post job. Okay, so this div will have these classes. And inside it, we'll just call our custom button with these classes. So on click, we just want to open the form so that we can edit our details with the edit icon. So this is where we're using the icon. And we also want to have another one that will take us to the upload jobs page. Okay, now beneath it, that is 2 divs down, we want to have the various details like the email, the location, and the contact with icons wrapped around in a div. So pretty simple. That's why I'm not explaining that one. With flex, gap 1, item center, those things. Okay, then we also have the job, number of jobs posted. Okay, like we did for the company's card. Now down to the last but one div, we have another div with full, margin top 20, flex column, gap 2, and we're going to have one div inside, a paragraph tag, with job post. We just want to show the job post of that company. Okay, so we're gonna have a div with flex wrap, gap of 3. In it, we will loop or map over our job. We get a job, we get an index, and instantly we'll return the job card again. Okay, but then let us return our job card. However, we'll need to do some small modification here. So we'll get the data, we'll get to have the name of the company, we have their email, then the logo, then we spread the job. Because when we fetch the job, the company's detail might not come. So this is how we're gonna do it. Okay, so in here, okay, pretty cool. We will not need this. Okay, okay, so pretty simple, right? Okay, now let's create the company form. We pass the open form, and set open as set open form. So we'll create it here on top here, calls company form, an error function, and we'll return a div here. Okay, so let's accept the open and set open. We'll need to get the user. We'll also need these values from React hook form. We've done it before, so this time we are just spreading the value of the user to the default values. We also need these variables, that is the upload image and upload CV. We also need close model. Okay, so we'll need this to a fragment, and we'll need transition from headless UI. We've done this before. We'll need a dialog, and we'll need a transition chart. And in the transition chart, we'll need this div as overlay. And under the chart, we have one more div, and inside it we have another one with these classes. Then inside it we'll have another transition chart. Then we have the dialog panel with these classes, and we'll get the dialog title. You can set this to true and see what is happening. We have the dialog title. And beneath the title, we will have this form. Now, this form we have created is the same form like the one we did for the authentication, and this is the same input we are using with just few things. Okay, so feel free to pause it and type it. We'll also need the button here. Okay, there's nothing new, the same button with just that the arrangement. Okay, and now we have a file type to select the profile or the logo. Okay, so this is how it looks. Okay, now let's go to the upload jobs page. Also pretty simple. Let's make sure our user variable is changed to company. Okay, let's change here. So now we have upload. Okay. Now this is also pretty simple because we have created the form over and over again. So double click. We'll need this, the state and the hook form. We'll need this from the use form. We also need these state variables and the onSubmit function. When we submit, we'll get the data as an object, as a parameter or prop here. Okay, so we'll need a class. The class should be container mxauto, flex column. On the MD, it should flex row, gap of 8, and 2x gap of 14. The BG color of white, this color. And inside it, we'll have another div with full and h.fit. On medium screw 1, the width should be 2/3, and on 2x it should be 2/4. And a BG color of white. PX5, PY10, and MDPY-10. Okay, so we'll just put a title in here like we have done before, and in it we'll just copy this form. This form will just the submit, that's the handle submit and the submit function we created, and we have the input we have created over and over again with the various errors and registered with the hook form. We have everything here. So all that is new here is the job types, and this one we have created a list, the list type before, so I'll just copy and paste it here, import it and export it here. Job types. Okay, so this is the job type. We are using headless UI like the one we created for the sort. We have these functions. The only thing is we just have a different list and looping over it. Okay, so we import it here, and make sure you also import the button. The button here, good. And this is our form. So it's the same form because we had created all of this before. Now it's simple creating it. Okay. Now down to 2 divs, we need to show the job, recent job post. So in here, we're gonna have a classes of full, and on MD it should be 1/3, and on 2x it should be 2/4, a pattern of 5, MT20, and on MD MT10. Okay, I think something is wrong somewhere. This thing needs to come down. Okay, so if we put in, now this thing needs to come down. Okay, so we have the title as recent job post, and in it, the way we have been looping over our job card, we'll do the same thing. Import a job, and also import a job card, and just send it. So we also slice it from 0 to 4. We only need 4 items here. You can change the number to whatever you like. Okay, and that's it, like this. So now let's check the About Us page. Pretty simple page, so I will not waste much time there. Okay, so we need this div. Inside it, we'll have this one div, and in it we have another div with a title, about, and a small test, dummy test, and the image. Okay, the image is also coming from the assets. Okay, we'll import this image, and okay, beneath that div, I'll just want to add more, one div with a leading of 8. Okay, let's put justify to test justify, and we have more tests here. That's all. Feel free to design it however you want it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now let us go to, if we click here, everything works fine. Okay, so what is now left? It changes. Okay, we're left with the user profile, and that one is pretty simple because we have created that of the company, so we'll not waste much time here. We'll need this icons and transitions dialog from headless UI. So let's go to profile. Okay, okay, so we'll need this. We'll need the user, using the use selector. Okay, so here we'll need this div, and inside it we'll need another one. Okay, inside it we'll need another div. In this div we'll have the title as the username. That's the first and the last name. Let's not show you what's the issue here. Oh, okay, So we have undefined here, and okay. So if we console log it, we're getting the object. Okay, let's remove one user here. Okay, so now we have it working. And beneath the header, we have an H5 to show the job title. Okay, if it doesn't exist, we just show add job title. And beneath it, we want to show the email, the location, and the contact like we did for the company. Now, two divs down, we want to show a line. Then we have another div, and inside it, we're going to have one more div. And in that div, we want to have a paragraph tag. Paragraph tag to show one div with a paragraph tag and a span tag. So the paragraph tag will show the about, and the span tag will show the about itself. The details about the user. Okay, so to the right, we also want to show the image and a button to edit the profile. And that button will set the open to true. Okay. Okay. And here, let us also call the user form. Like we did for the company, we'll create it here. And I'll just bring it here like the one we did for the company with few modifications. We getting, accepting the props here, getting the functions from the use form. We had to use hook, React form hook with the onSubmit and the various states, close model here. And we are using headless UI again here, like we have done over and over again, and we're reusing our test input. So let's import it here, and also our button. Okay, so this same thing, import a button here. Okay, so if I click on edit, the form should come with proper validation like that, and that's it. If I click on it, it shows like that. So pretty cool. We have finished with the UI part. In the second part, we will do the back end, and in the third part, we will integrate it. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment. Okay. You can also support CodeWave, and the link is in the description below. Don't forget to change this to token. User token.